Imagine waking up one day to the unsettling realization that your life isn't truly your own. Every belief, every desire, and every action is all about external forces and external expectations rather than your authentic self. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's topic is getting to know who you really are. My name is Messi Nyerere. For those of you who are new here, and for returning subscribers, I told you, feel free to call me Dora. If you're new here, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and just join our big community. Your engagement honestly helps me create more content that resonates with who you are. So for this topic, I'm going to be using one of Carl Jung's most profound insights, and which is this one, which is life doesn't begin until you find yourself. So what does finding yourself really mean? Is it merely about gaining self-awareness, or is it about going deep and checking who you really are, the you that you left behind before society came about, before you were born into a world where everybody conditioned you to be a certain way? Because when we're born, the first time we're given a name, we never decide what name we want. We're born into a family, and suddenly we do exactly what the family we're born into does. And as we grow up, we begin to realize that there are certain things about us that are either rewarded or punished. There are certain things about us that people like and people don't like. So what do we do to ourselves? We begin to hide the parts of ourselves that other people do not like or other people do not resonate with. And as we hide these parts of ourselves, we create this persona on top of ourselves that is not who we truly are. So as time goes on, as society keeps on telling us who we should be, what we should leave behind, what will be punished and what will be rewarded, we lose touch of who we truly are. And these things show up in many ways. It can show up in anger, it can show up in jealousy, it can show up in envy, it can show up in anxiety, depression, all these things. Because no person can function out of you. Yes, you can function out of who you truly are, but no person will truly begin to live life in a happy state so long as they keep on playing that persona that society, your family, your friends, your colleagues have put on top of you, your responsibilities, and who they think you should be compared to who you truly are. So Carl Jung, a trailblazer in the field of depth psychology, dared to venture into the uncharted territories of the unconscious mind. And what he found out was that it is impossible for the mind to be healthy and have a well-being when we're constantly conforming to societal norms. Carl Jung saw personal growth as a journey of self-discovery that helps us become our most authentic selves. However, a few people like to take this journey. They are more pressed on what society thinks about them. They've turned into people who society has labeled them to be. Let's say you were young, you loved music, or you loved making noise in the house, just simply talking. And then everybody was constantly telling you, shut up, go and park, go and sit down, keep quiet. And at the end of the day, now you've become someone who's quiet. It's not who you truly are. That's not your most authentic self. There's still that young person in you that likes to talk. But now it's gotten to a point where you can't talk because society has conditioned now who you should be. They've told you what's wrong and they've condemned who you truly were. So it's very difficult for others to take this route of self-discovery because to them it's scary and it threatens their comfortability around society and around people, because we often think that being what people want us to be is what makes other people like us. But at the end of the day, we're the ones who end up living a life that's so unfulfilled. We're not happy. We don't like the jobs that we do. We don't like the school that we go to. We don't like what we're studying simply because it's not who we truly are, and we're only doing it to make other people happy, or we're simply just doing it to make our parents or society, basically to please society, and that leaves us feeling empty, lost. And I want to base my lesson on a story about myself. I remember very well when I was in primary school. When I was in primary school, it was very difficult for me to make friends, and I was one of those kids who were just the outcast. I would try my best to talk to this person, talk to this person, but it always seemed like people just didn't like my personality. And so I started to change. I started to copy other people. I started to change how I spoke, how I presented myself. And I noticed that this was not me. It was extremely difficult to be someone I wasn't. I'm naturally a talkative person. I like to talk, I like to express who I am. And if I have a problem with anybody, I would rather just tell you. But it came to a point where everybody was always constantly judging me. They were constantly judging where I came from, what I wore. So I was so insecure to the point where this went on until I had completed school. I was now in university. I'm in university, me, so at UNZA. But I'm failing to like walk with my head up high. I would always put my head down whenever I'm going anywhere. It got so bad to a point where even when I went to the mall, I couldn't manage to go to the mall. I grew up this kid where people or other people would tell me, oh, she's pretty, she's like a pretty kid. But my friends and people at school had a different perception of what I looked like. I remember a lot of people telling me I looked so bad, I was ugly, I came from a family that didn't have money, and my parents basically just couldn't afford me. And this would make me feel bad. It at some point I wanted to pretend that I come from somewhere else. I wanted to change how I dressed, but then there was nothing I could do about it at that point because those were the clothes that my parents, sorry, my video had cut in the other thing. So as I was saying, like, but those were the only clothes that my parents could afford, and there was nothing that I can do about it apart from just wear the same clothes. So I would still wear the same clothes. And at that time I remember I was at I remember before we got to university and all, when I was in primary, I used to live in Kaunda Square Stage 2. So I had all these friends. I was at a school in Avondale, and I had all these friends who would like mock me. Hey, she's coming. Kwa Kylie, the bus would go yaenda kumayadi, yaenda kupia chai, yaenda ku Avondale. We take some kids to Twin Palm, and then I was the only one in the direction going to Stage 2. So even most of the times I was the one who would be dropped late by the school bus. And I remember very well fighting with a guy in the school bus, and he called me a common dog. And I remember that time feeling so bad. I went to tell my dad. I was like, oh, someone called me this. And my dad trying to defend me, obviously he went, when the school bus came the next morning, he went and shouted at the same boy saying, why would you call your friend that? But it stuck with me. As much as he was a kid and he didn't even know that it had hurt me in some way, it stuck with me. Now I grew resentful towards where I stayed. And where I stayed, it was not even a bad house. We had a big house with 3 bedrooms, very good. But I grew resentful because I was the only one out of the whole group in that bus that went to a different place, who stayed in a different place and had a different lifestyle. And I spoke Nyanja regularly. Even up to now, I still love to speak Nyanja. And it's gotten so worse now, I even like to speak Chewa. So it got bad because this continued throughout my primary. So just based off of that, as I grew older, I already had it in mind that me, I'm not good enough. I don't have what my friends have. I don't come from a house that my friends come from. And it affected me. It affected me so much. And then I went on to high school and was with I managed to make friends, managed to like get myself acquainted with everybody. And still, even when I was in high school, I had to pretend to, in order to get to play with people. And I think that made me even not find people who were authentic, people who loved me for who I was. So I had two friends who were my best friends, and we pretty much got along very much. We slept at each other's dorms, we shared each other's foods, we would go to each other's houses. It was so fine. And then we had a fight. I think we fought, me and one of them. And then one time we had stopped talking, and they lived in a different dorm, like somewhere else, and I also lived somewhere else. And this morning I went to class and I was seated in class while studying, and if you know government schools, boarding houses, boarding schools, it's not like one class would be for the grade 12s or for the grade 11s. You find that maybe the grade 11s have 4 classes or 3 classes. So for us at that time, I was in grade 11, and we had 4 classes for grade 11s. So I sat in the first class while they were in the second class, and I could hear their voices because everybody else had gone for church. It was a Sunday, and I just decided, no, I don't want to go for chapel. Let me just go and study because I'm writing a test. So I went to study, only to hear these best friends of mine talking about my place again, talking about where I came from again, which now, that thought that I had, that boy that told me, reminded me of what that guy, when I was in Paris, said about me. He called me a common dog, and here were my best friends sitting in another class, gossiping about me to other people, calling my mom a marketeer, and comparing her to those people that would sell ifitumbua ama samosa black markets. We had a boarding market, and this really affected me, because even when I took my friends home and showed them where I live, showed them my mom, my parents, that was me trying to open up and be myself. But here it came all shattering down again, reminding me that I'm not good enough and I'm not the type of person who is like other people. And it was so bad that they mocked my house, they mocked my mom, they mocked my dad, they even mocked me and what I dress and what I wear. And I love the fact that I was the one hearing all this myself, to the point where even if I were to have a conversation with them today, they wouldn't deny it because I heard it for myself. So my friend then comes, this person that they were telling, after the class finishes and everything, they follow me to my dorm. Iwe mesinya wewe wanzako wenzo kamba so ati iwe ndiwe mwana wa so. So I'm there just wondering, I'm like, really? And I would like to say I moved on from it and it didn't affect me, but it did. It did, and it made me want to hide myself more intensely than I ever had. And unfortunately, that's exactly what I did. Now, it became about showing this personality that I didn't have. So here we are, we finished school, and obviously in school, yes, I did make a best friend. I had my best friend who's still my best friend up to now, and I made other friends, but then it still affected me. So I was still that person who was hiding themselves, someone who was so insecure. I would compare myself constantly with other people all the time. I would constantly compare myself. It got to a point where I would even go search for someone and compare myself to them just to see them. And it's so sad to say that I lived 19, in fact 20 years of my life pretending to be someone else, pretending to just to please everybody else around me, because I didn't want to be spoken of, I didn't want to be gossiped about, and I basically just didn't want to be the girl that's the outcast. So I pretended for 20 years of my life. I pretended to be someone else. It got worse. It even got worse. But I love the fact that even the friends that I made, like the people that I'm talking about saying my best friend, with them I was myself. Like I would act myself because that's the self that they liked. But then to other people, I was still this pretender. So yeah, we finished school. I go to Unza now. I'm studying law. Guys, first, before I even started studying law, I was doing a diploma for software engineering. And during the diploma, I couldn't go to class. We had night classes, but I was failing to go to class because I had this idea that everybody in the school was looking at me and how ugly I was and how poor I was and how my clothes looked like raggedy rags. So, guys, I was not able to go to school. I would wait for my friend from class that I had made, who's now then my boyfriend now. But at that time, he was my friend. And I would wait for him. I would be like, no, I can't manage to walk from the station into class by myself. Can you escort me? And at that time, I'm pretty sure he just thought that, this girl is shy or what. Guys, can't she open? I was just scared that, and so that continued. It continued until the first semester even finished, and my exam. Through hanging out with the friend that I had met in my software engineering class, okay, I liked the person because I was now wondering, here was a person who was just in their own way, who could just do anything that they wanted. And I admired that. Now I started copying him. I would copy the fact how he would just walk about like in school. I would just call him and he would be anywhere in school. And it was weird for me. Like, how does this person do this? And I started admiring how to just be in school. And slowly, I started to go to school by myself. A long time ago, if he's not coming to class, I won't come to class because I don't want to walk by myself. For me, I even used to call it the walk of shame because I felt like everybody was looking at me. Until I slowly became comfortable in my own skin. I would walk. I would walk. That was the first step. But dressing, I would still wear 5 outfits check through 10 outfits or 5 outfits before I picked an outfit to go to school. And even then, the outfit was not as good as what I wanted it to be. And I would still feel as insecure as I felt when picking those outfits. I would put makeup every day when going to school. Every day. I would make sure my hair was done all the time. I think I changed my hair 2 weeks. 2 weeks I plaited different hairstyle. 2 weeks I plaited different hairstyle. But I still didn't feel beautiful. I still felt like the ugly person that I was told I was. So we finished that software engineering thing, and I gained some confidence to walk by myself. I can walk a bit better. I can walk into school. But it still didn't change. I was still insecure. I would still put makeup all the time. And people just thought, maybe she likes makeup. Maybe what? No, guys, I was insecure. I'm being honest here. I was pretending to be someone who I was not so that I can be accepted by everybody. And I felt like my face was not good enough. So I would put makeup every day. And it would even make me late for these classes. And even when I went for law school, which was even worse because now there were a lot of people in class. That was first year. And I would still put makeup every day before I go to school. I don't even know anyone from that law school apart from three or four people, because I didn't even want to talk to anybody because I thought people didn't like me and people were judging me. So I didn't. And did that help me? No, it made my feelings of insecurity, of hating myself worse. And this was 2022. So what happened that year is that we wrote the exams and I didn't do well in like 2 courses and I had to rewrite them. And I had a balance. I was on a bursary, but I still had a balance. So I couldn't even write the supplementaries that year. So I just waited. I was like, let me wait. The waiting was difficult, but I had to wait. And in that year, 2023, where I was not going to school, I was not doing anything, I had a lot of self-reflection. I had to look at myself, and I noticed I was not happy with anything that I had. I was not happy with myself. I was not happy with who I was. And here I was living a whole life, but not happy. So I started to now dissect myself. I started to dissect who I was. Part of dissecting myself was telling myself the truth. Now, this is where I come in to say, a lot of people don't like to take the journey of self-discovery, like Kaoyan said. And I needed to take this because I was so tired of being this bubble, being this cage, and just hiding who I was, hiding my face, my hair, everything. I would never comb my hair. Just combing my hair, what? Guys, I wouldn't do that. So I started to dissect myself, like, where did we go wrong? Where did it stop? Let's look at the origin of where you stopped liking yourself, when you stopped being your authentic self and stopped believing that you were good enough. And then that was the time for self-reflection. Now that's when I remembered that this is not who I am. This is not who I am. I'm playing a role, and I'm tired of playing a role, and I need to know where this started. So I started to self-reflect. I started journaling. I started listening to YouTube podcasts, anything that would just make me like myself. And this is what I did for myself. This was my personal journey. I stopped doing makeup to go to class. When I went to class now in 2024, I stopped doing my hair. And most people just think that, she doesn't like doing hair. I stopped doing it so that I could be myself and love myself the way I am. So when I look at myself in the mirror, it's my natural hair, it's my natural face. And this made me extremely confident. Within a few months, I was a very confident girl. I could talk, I could go anywhere I wanted, because now I wasn't hiding myself. I wasn't hiding where I came from. I wasn't trying too hard. I would wear anything so long as it's comfortable. I think even my classmates can attest to the fact that I have worn Crocs. Yo, it has started raining and we don't have power, so don't mind my lighting, but get the message. Get the message, that's what's important. So when I started doing my natural hair, I started going without my face done anything, I started working. Guys, I even put myself in a pedestal to never ever search for anyone on the internet and compare myself to them. Whether I feel genuinely that they're better than me or what, I never did it. And I'm not there yet. I'm not the confident girl I want to be. But this is a lot of work. This has been a lot of work. And I love myself. I love myself now. I would never betray myself. And I'm more in tune with who I am. I started talking more. I started walking more. I can go to a restaurant and eat by myself simply because I want to. And I'm happy. I'm not extremely happy, but I'm content. And that helped a lot in my journey of self-discovery. And now that I know myself, I know my dreams, I know my aspirations, I know what to concentrate on. Because all that time when I was so insecure, all I concentrated on was how I look, how other people see me, how what. But now I even have dreams that I want to follow. I even have goals for my life, and I've achieved some of them, and I'm so happy for myself. But this would have never happened had I continued being what society wanted me to be, or what other people, or if I continued to make myself look like what other people wanted me to be. Now I'm just me. I'm just Macy. You take it or you leave it. Either way, I'm okay with it. And that's what I was just trying to tell everyone. I have a lot of story times about how this journey has been difficult for me, but all I'll say is that discover yourself, guys. Learn to know who you are and authentically love that person that God made with his own bare hands, his word, and through his image. You are important the way you are. But first, it will come first from discovering who you are. All the negative talk that has been placed upon your life, I rebuke it in the mighty name of Jesus. And so should you. Start looking for who you are. And once you discover who you are, that's the only time you'll ever be happy. The rain has started, and I wish I could say more. But through my story and through everything, how far that I've come, I hope you've taken something from it, and you will want to be the best version of yourself, starting from now, by being your most authentic self, forgetting what people expect of you, forgetting what your friend group expects of you, forgetting what the people around you want, and starting to look at what you want, who you want to be, and who you are authentically. My G, you will live the best life you've ever lived. You'll be the type of person that even when you have a 5 quarter in your face, you're still happy. Even when you haven't done your hair, you don't feel anything. Even when you haven't done anything to your face, you still feel nice. Guys, it is raining, and my audio isn't so good. So from my video, if you got inspired and if you liked what I said, if you enjoyed my video and you honestly feel like being a true authentic self and going on that self-discovery, I love you for that. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share to anybody who you know needs it. And thank you for watching till the end. Until next time, guys. Bye.